The president of the Democratic Republic of Congo has lashed out at Apple, the tech giant, for using so-called blood minerals from his country for the manufacturing of Apple products. President Felix Tshisekedi also accused neighboring Rwanda of facilitating the illegal export of these minerals. We'll take a listen to his exclusive interview with DW after this report.
The DRC wants answers from Apple over where it sources the mineral components for its devices. In a letter to Apple, lawyers query the use of tantalum, tin and tungsten, the so-called 3T minerals. They are largely found in eastern DRC, a volatile region with rebel groups profiting off artisanal mining. The DRC's claim is that minerals are smuggled from its territory to Rwanda, where they are laundered and sold to Apple and other buyers from around the world. Apple has 3 weeks to respond, and the DRC government is reportedly looking into all legal options. For its part, Apple denies the accusations. The company said it has found no reasonable basis to conclude that any of the 3T minerals in its supply chain financed or benefited armed groups in the region. Minerals from the DRC are critical to producing the world's smartphones and many other electronic devices. In fact, it is the main source for natural resources needed for global technological advancement. The DRC's mineral-rich Great Lakes region has been plagued by violence since the 1990s. Tensions re-emerged in late 2021, when the rebel group known as M23 began recapturing swathes of the territory. The DRC, the UN and Western countries accuse Rwanda of supporting rebel groups, including M23, in a bid to control the region's vast mineral resources. Rwanda denies these allegations.
The president of the DRC, Felix Tshisekedi, was in Berlin and spoke exclusively to DW's Tina Gerhauser and Wendy Bashi about why his country is threatening legal action against Apple.
Quite simply, so it may stop. It's been going on for 30 years, ever since the international community asked us to open our borders to the influx of refugees fleeing the genocide in Rwanda. At that point, people involved in the genocide also slipped in. And they entered the DRC with their weapons, because the order had been given from somewhere, still within the international community, to let them in with their weapons. And after that, Rwanda was given a right of pursuit, inviting itself into the Democratic Republic of Congo to hunt down these people. But unfortunately, Rwanda didn't make the distinction, so also massacred Congolese. And since then, the massacre hasn't ended. Rwanda discovered that there were minerals in the DRC. And Rwanda made contacts in the international community that enabled it to sell these blood minerals. Minerals obtained by using violence against our populations to force them to leave the localities where these minerals are found.
Dans lesquels on trouve ces minerais. Depuis lors,
Since then, Rwanda has become the representative of these minerals for the international community, for these multinationals.
La communauté internationale, pour ces multinationales.
You just mentioned the 1990s, when Rwandan refugees came to Zaire. Now it's 30 years later.
This is why I said it's been going on 30 years.
Today in eastern Congo, we're seeing the presence of the M23 movement, which according to multiple statements by your government is supported by Rwanda. Do you plan to meet Rwanda's president, Paul Kagame, in the days to come?
Il y a actuellement une initiative qui est prise.
There's currently an initiative being taken by Angolan President João Lourenço, who's been appointed mediator in this conflict by the African Union. And he's already put forward peace initiatives on several occasions, but they've all been sabotaged. Everything was sabotaged by Kagame and his regime. We're really at a final crossroads. There is now what we believe to be a last chance, and I want to give peace a chance as much as possible. But obviously, that's not because of weakness, and we're not always going to be patient like this, wishing for peace.
Does that mean that you're still prepared, as agreed, to meet Paul Kagame?
I've always said that I'd never meet the M23. Because, as I said, it's an empty shell, fabricated to justify the aggression against my country, the DRC.
Pour justement justifier l'agression contre mon pays, de la RDC, mais qu'en réalité, le vrai
But the real aggressor, the real criminal, is Paul Kagame. And I want to meet him, not to beg him or to negotiate anything with him. It's to ask him and tell him clearly, eye to eye, that he's a criminal, that enough is enough now and that his little game is known to everyone. It's enough what he's done to my country and my people, and it's time for him to leave the territory, the soil of my country.
Le territoire, le sol de mon pays.
You mentioned the multinational companies, Apple, but maybe others too. What do you expect from them?
Not maybe others, surely others.
Oh, mais vous le saurez.
Oh, but you'll find out. The investigations continue. The most serious thing is that these minerals are extracted from the Congolese subsoil at the price of blood, as I said, by using violence and terror to make the populations living in these localities flee. And then they're transported along trails via motorcycles to Rwanda. And there they're stamped by an international NGO. We quote all that, which obviously absolves them of the fact that they're blood minerals, passes them off as if they were minerals mined in Rwanda.
Mr. President, you have just expressed an expectation to the countries that host multinationals, including the United States, I guess? In the case of Apple. So what exactly are you waiting for? What kind of sanctions, what kind of influence should the American government have?
Devrait mettre le gouvernement américain.
I don't know in this case what sanctions could be applied. It's up to the judiciary to think about it. But there are surely penalties and convictions for complicity in crimes. So I'm not expecting specific sanctions as such. I know that these are countries where the judiciary is free, independent, and efficient, and where this kind of justice deters this type of trafficking. Above all, the Congolese authorities are ready to openly discuss a partnership to exploit these minerals in a win-win model.
D'un partenariat pour exploiter ces minerais dans un modèle gagnant-gagnant. Vous savez, moi j'ai...
It's because of all these misfortunes that this wealth has caused us that I have to capitalize on it by saying we must stop being a land of extraction, quite simply. They take our minerals, they're processed elsewhere, and then they come and sell us the finished product. We want to develop our own value chain in the DRC ourselves, as far as possible as it can extend.
c'est dans des partenariats pareils.
And then, in what I call those win-win partnerships,
Parce que ça ferait que
we'll be able to fight
nous allons
poverty
pouvoir lutter contre la
by
pauvreté
creating
en créant des
jobs,
emplois, en créant de la richesse.
creating wealth,
Et en même temps,
and at
avoir
the
des
same
partenaires
time have partners who will also benefit from this partnership.
se retrouver dans ce partenariat.
Donc, par exemple,
So Apple will negotiate directly with the DRC?
Avec la République démocratique du Congo.
Of course, with the Democratic Republic of Congo. Why would you want to negotiate with a common thief who's doing business on the backs of dead Congolese? The telephones you have in your countries contain the blood of the Congolese.
Les téléphones que vous avez ici dans vos pays contiennent le sang des Congolais.